Trying something a little bit different today. We're calling this Changes, where we get to sit down and talk to people who are listening to the Keep the Change podcast and find out the changes that they are making and the change that they've made in their life that has made it better when it comes to money. So, first off of the bat, Angela, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks for being here and for the eggs as well. You've brought me a gift.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
adding
thanks
value.
for what you do.
Yeah. No worries. Tell me a little bit about how you found Keep the Change to start with.
Well, I stumbled upon you on Facebook one day when I was looking through, and you said something about want to be better with money, and I thought that looked quite good. So I checked out your website, which was quite average, but noticed that you had podcasts attached, and I started from number 1, and there you go.
Wow,
yeah.
Good feedback. Their website's average, so that's good. Okay, I've got some work to do there. Funny.
It has improved since then. I have checked it in once back since, but yeah.
See, what people probably don't understand is that I was running Facebook ads with my own money to then Keep the Change in front of more people. Because when you don't have an audience, you have to go out and build it, right? And because I've been able to, build up a little bit of cash from prior ventures, I'm like, okay, I need to speed this up. I'm going to spend some of my own money. If we can get it in front of the right people, then maybe this is how they get here. So it's cool for me to hear that what I was thinking probably 4 or 5 years ago, or even a couple of years ago.
Did work.
I can find the right people. Okay, so how long have you been listening to Keep the Change, do you think?
So I've been listening for about 15 months.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And how many of the episodes do you reckon you would have got through?
I'd say probably 250.
Shit.
Yeah, so a
you
fair
started
few.
from the start.
I started from the start, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because, I thought, why not go back? And I probably wasn't the best idea because I did follow some of your advice that was early on, but
not
a couple of years later, investing in certain banks and things. Yep.
Wow, you're really taking... I've got to be careful that I'm not giving out direct advice.
No, people should check the date of the podcast they're listening to and maybe look for updated information.
Nice. What were you looking for financial education, or obviously that ad spoke to you, so you were thinking about getting better with money?
Yeah, I've always been quite good with money, but I just decided, let's look into this some more. Why not? And I liked how personable your podcast was from the start, and I even liked how nervous you sounded with the first few podcasts. So it was relatable. It was relatable.
I go back and listen to that. I'm like, oh, geez, these early episodes. What if we can carve them off? Yeah, someone said you were really finding your feet in those early days, and I think for sure. And I guess someone's like, you found your rhythm and stuff now. And I'm always learning, and sometimes I go back and I'm like, oh wow, would I explain it that way? Would I say that? Cringe, or I've forgotten to talk about that anymore, or whatever. So but I guess the point is for everybody to get started and to have a crack, right?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Then we don't know and we don't get these lessons. So I guess I was going to ask, what do you like about it? But it sounds like that was the...
I like everything. I like that they're relatable, that you cover a really wide range of topics, that there's a bit of business information in there, and it's great.
Cool. And you were saying off the mic that you are keen for more people to learn more about money and have conversations about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. So anyone listening, or any of my friends listening that want to talk about money, I'm always up for it. Yeah.
How have you made sense of that, or how is that normal to you when for so many people it's like, oh, you don't do that, you don't talk about money?
Well, I did. My first job. Well, one of my first jobs was working at the bank, and I had an amazing team there, and they give you a really great financial education. Well, they used to. We got a good 3 months of training. So I think from that I was taught to talk to the clients about money. So I've always been quite comfortable with it. And now as a property manager, it's the same. So I talk about people's money and investments. And so for me, I'm always quite comfortable with it. And yeah,
it's interesting. I've started trying to explain that more from my side, that being an accountant, I have to talk about money every day. And I've been studying it for now, I think 20 years. So it's very normal to have conversations around money, but I forget how emotive and how, I guess, unfamiliar, or how people don't want to talk about it. Whereas in business, you kind of can't not. It's just part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So then let's go through your CV that I believe is fairly long in terms of the current ventures that you have, so we can set the scene. Okay, so you got property management, one string to the bow.
Yes. So I was a personal banker and a teller at the bank.
You've got chickens.
I've got chickens. We've got a lifestyle block. So we've got 15 acres and we've got goats that I milk and chickens and cattle and sheep and everything. So that's one thing. My husband and I have a gardening business.
Nice.
So we do a bit of garden work, a bit of pest control. What else have I done? I lived in London for a while. So I was a personal assistant for a marketing company there. I've been a horse riding instructor and bits and pieces,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of various skills, eh?
Yeah.
Relief milking, you said
relief
before?
milking, yeah. I relief milk at a beautiful organic farm occasionally now. So that's a bit of fun. Yep.
Is there anything you can't do? Or?
I'm sure there's things I'm not great at. But
And then 2 children as well.
Yeah, we've got 2 children, yeah.
And how old are they?
I've got a 9-month-old and a almost 3-year-old.
Wow. Shit, you have got your hands full, eh? Yeah. Nice. You love it?
I love it. Life's busy and it's great.
Yeah, wouldn't have it any other way.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And then thinking back to like childhood and upbringing and stuff like that, what was conversations around money? What were they like? What were what did you learn, I guess, through that period?
Yeah, so I suppose like most families, we didn't really talk about money too much, but my parents did teach us very well to pay off our debt. So we always had a fridge account, which was how much money we owed them. So if we borrowed any money, we had to pay it back, and it got added up on this list and crossed off, and it was paid off. And
did it sit on the front of the fridge or something?
Sit on the front of the fridge, and I still do that now. So our debts are on the fridge, and I update them when we're paid and watch them going down. So it's good.
In accounting, we'd talk about like a ledger or running balance.
So essentially the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and you would just keep it front of mind.
Yeah.
So then does that sort of excite you when you clear that debt faster? Because then you're...
Yeah, definitely,
nice. You've turned it into a process.
Yeah. So I'm always been good at paying off debt, but the saving and investing, I suppose, has always been different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you've learnt some of that or been exposed to some of that through Keep the Change?
Yep, definitely, yep. So probably, I suppose, I was quite young when I went through my financial education with the bank, and so I didn't take on board a lot of the information. So listening to you is reminding me of things that I've learnt previously but haven't put into action.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it's great.
Do you want to go through some of those? Because you've told me, but for the people listening.
Sure. So in the last year, I
before sorry to interrupt.
Go for it.
What was the first piece of action you took after listening to Keep the Change? Can you remember where you're like, okay, pennies dropped, I'm going to do that? Is there anything you can think of?
For the first thing, I think the first thing I did was review my KiwiSaver, because you were talking about Bitcoin and a few different investments, and so I thought, hey, well, let me look at what I've already got invested. So I said, okay, well, I've got this 54,000 in KiwiSaver. Why don't I look at where to put that? So I did some investigation and shifted that over to a provider who I've been really happy with. So it's gone up 21,000 this year, which is mostly from returns, because I was on maternity leave for most of the year. So that's been really great. So an easy win. Reviewing KiwiSaver. Yep.
Nice.
Easy win reviewing KiwiSaver. And then another thing I did was start investment accounts for the kids. So I've been putting $25 a week away for them, as well as I've been getting the Best Start tax credit. And I thought, well, it's what, $60, $70 a week. It's not a big deal for me.
Just on that.
But
to get that Best Start tax credit, that process has changed, right?
All you have to do is register on IRD. You say that you've had a child, and as long as I think you've had, I think you just have to put the birth certificate or something on there, and that's about it. It's very straightforward anyway.
Okay.
And then you start getting Best Start payments.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So you've taken those, and then you are investing for the kids.
So I get that fortnightly, and I just put that straight into their investment accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you, because that's where people will get stuck, right?
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about specific providers or anything, but it'd be like, who do I go with, or like what funds? And
well, like you say, just pick one, right? Otherwise you'll sit there all day thinking about who the best one is, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is you're doing it.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. And I think probably the difference is pretty negligible over most of them, and also you can review it each year. So yeah. So occasionally review it and go from there.
And so did you set up automatic payments for those?
So I've set up automatic payments. So they go through to the investment company, and then I have like an auto auto invest setup. Yep. So I've selected what I want to invest in, which, I guess I'm keeping it simple. So I'm just putting it in S&P 500 and a global fund for them. And then,
I was talking recently to someone about investing for kids, and they were saying to me that they find it easier to invest for their children than they do for themselves because they get to think so much longer term than in this sort of near-term volatility or, you know, if you're thinking about it at the moment, the S&P 500 has just gone past a high and then people are saying like, oh, well, then, you know, could it crash?
Yeah.
Should I, you know, not be investing yet? Should I wait for it to crash? Whereas I think when you've got kids, it's basically like, well, it's probably inevitable that by the time they get to need that cash or get to see it, there's probably going to be some form of crash. So just get going, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the same for us. I mean, I suppose it's different when you're older. But I've set up exactly the same for me and my husband as a emergency fund.
Yeah.
So we're just popping $100 a week into that one. Just to, I mean, at the moment we've got 1,500 in there. I started a few months ago. Hopefully we're building up to 30,000 just so that it can cover a few months of expenses.
Nice.
And then
So you haven't previously had an emergency fund?
I haven't previously, and I feel like it would have saved a lot of stress.
Really?
If we had,
Yeah. In what way?
Well, I suppose calling on the bank of the parents is a big one, right? It's what we do. An emergency comes up and you either put it on the credit card or, you know, say, Mum, Dad, can we borrow some money? And it'll go on the fridge account.
I was about to say, it'll be on the fridge account still.
Fridge account, you know, So that's something that happens often.
Yeah.
And
do you track the increase in the emergency fund like you do the debt decrease?
I should do. I do put it in like my notes on my phone every now and then. I have used your spreadsheets and I don't know, just like carrying things with me, and I don't, you know, so I've just used notes on my phone. Usually I find it simplest, and so I pop in there. I just do a little net worth calculation and a budget and that kind of thing from there. I do that every couple of weeks. Yeah, once we get money through. Obviously we've got a few different income streams. So it's
a bit to juggle, and I think that's the importance. Like I'll say, hey, look, there's some free templates here, but my shit is never designed to be like, this is the best stuff, you must do this, you must follow this. It is get started with this and outgrow it. Like find something that works for you. So I'm glad that you touch on that it's like, okay, I've tried that. It didn't really, but it got you on the path, hopefully, right? And then you find something that works for you. Getting in the KiwiSaver fund that suits you and your situation is key to making sure you're maximizing your investment. Generate are an award-winning KiwiSaver provider with a track record of long-term performance, and they can help you do exactly this. Their advisors can meet with you to talk about all your options when it comes to KiwiSaver to help you decide what's best for you. Too many people never get KiwiSaver advice, but not you. Go to generatekiwisaver.co.nz/change to book a no-obligation chat with a Generate advisor. A copy of the product disclosure statement is available at generatekiwisaver.co.nz. The issuer of the scheme is Generate Investment Management Limited, and of course, past performance does not guarantee future returns. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then if you got to 30K of cash sitting there, so that's 30 grand so that you could, like if something was to happen, you got sort of 3-month runway of outgoings with having minimal income. Yeah. I kind of feel like you're the sort of person that you'd have so many skills that it'd be pretty hard for you not to have income because you'd be bloody relief milking someone's cat, dog, or bloody goat or something that I don't even know can be done. Well,
ideally we want to stop working in a few years and, you know, enjoy time with the kids and maybe homeschool. We're tossing it up, so the idea is to have all that sorted and pay down the mortgage as much as we can. And
cash gives you options, right?
It does, yeah.
And then on the mortgage, do you track that on the fridge as well? Yeah. Okay. So you can see that decreasing
that's
too.
Up there, 1.2k, 1.2 mil, slowly decreasing.
Nice.
Nice.
And I think you said to me that you have increased your repayments on the mortgage too, right?
Yeah, so we've increased payments. We've just a little bit at the moment. We have been clearing with our debt first. So once all that's gone, then we'll put all the extra money onto the mortgage and try and get rid of that. We're trying to live off my husband's income so that we can save all of mine or pay down, use mine for paying debt down.
Yeah. And So, because a lot of people get stuck at, well, how can you repay your mortgage faster? You're not allowed to. The bank doesn't allow you or whatever. Like, can you talk through how did you, when you decided to do that?
Well, I think it probably depends on your bank. So we're with BNZ at the moment, and if you go into their, onto their app, they do have a function there where you can increase your repayments, and they tell you how much time you're going to shave off your mortgage.
Nice. Did that excite you?
It does, yeah. And we are luckily fixed at a very low rate. I fixed for 5 years at 3.9%.
Shit,
and I've got 2 more years. Two more years on it. So, So
wow.
I'm very lucky timing the market on that one.
Yeah.
So we'll pay off as much as we can in that time. Yeah.
Right, that must be a pretty cool feeling to sort of really weather the storm.
Yeah. So that's cool. And so from that, because our rate is low, I suppose it's not going to cost us anything to pay extra at the moment. I think you might pay some break fees if you're putting too larger amount on, but to increase it slightly, it's no drama. Yeah.
And hubby, is hubby is he on board with all this stuff, or is he sort of like leave it to...
He's pretty good. He's been listening to a few of your podcasts.
Okay,
he's not quite as enthusiastic as I am.
I've heard that before.
But that's all right. That's all right. We share our goals and our finances, and I think that's quite important in a relationship, that you should, that you share your money.
Yeah. Any tips to get... couples on the same page with that stuff? Like, obviously it's normal for you to talk about money, but I think it's something people struggle with, right?
It is a hard one. I suppose maybe if you have a hard time talking face to face, you could always text or email. Can be a helpful thing. Like if there's a hard conversation, it's any way of getting it out is good.
Yeah.
But I suppose with our fridge account, it's in the forefront of both of our minds. Yeah. I don't mind the pressure. It's probably puts some off a little more, but we get through it.
And do you have, some of these things that you're doing, do you have quite clear goals where you're obviously talking about it where it's like, okay, someone has to have the idea to pay the mortgage off faster, right? And so then do you kind of come to an agreement of like, okay, that's what we're going to attack. And then you've got the emergency account, you've got the kids' funds growing. So you're obviously having a number of conversations to set the same goals and be on the same page.
Yeah, we are, which is cool.
Yeah, wicked. I think I like the thing about it being on the fridge, because then you can't really hide from it. And
you can't hide from it. And it's quite nice because, the parents will come over and be like, oh, you've paid these off. Oh, that's great. It's quite nice. And I suppose it's there for my friends to see, and it's nice to talk about.
Funny, I think I just jogs my memory. I used to have my Q card statements, shout out to Q card, sent to my olds, and they'd be like, oh, I go out there, I might not have been there for however long, and it's like, oh, here's a stack of, and I'm always like, oh yeah, I'll put those ones straight in the fire. And then eventually I'm like, oh, these won't come anymore. It's gone. So that's funny. I think sometimes we like to show our parents too that we're doing better financially, or let them know that, hey, things are all right, we're on the right path, right?
Yeah, my parents have been coming to me for advice now, so it's always nice.
The tables have turned. There's that concept that we get like parented by our parents, and then we become almost the parent to our parents at some stage in our life too, right? Which is scary to go through. So then back to the kids, how do you, what are you hoping to achieve by investing for them? What's the thought process behind as that grows, and what are you going to do? Yeah,
well, I suppose my thought process is it'll be nice to have the money there for, the first car. So my plan is that I'll want them to pay half of it, so to raise money themselves for half of it, and then we can finance the rest from their fund. And same, if they choose to waste money on university, then we can work something out there. And then for a business or a first home or whatever they choose to do, I want to make their life easier.
Nice.
Because my parents are great and they always lent me money, but I just think how much better it would have been if they gave me money. I would have got even more of a head start.
Yeah. I suppose some people would probably argue, but then you haven't had to earn that or whatnot, and you might not get those lessons.
Well, that's why I think half. That's why I'm saying half.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's where we've all got to find our own balance of how that works, right? And there'll be some people who can do that for their kids, some who can't, but it doesn't matter, right? We've got to find, okay, what are we going to do? If we start
now, right, like $10 a week or whatever, you build up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I am seeing some of my colleagues struggle now who are older and their kids are going to university, and they're saying, I've promised I'm going to pay for it and I've got no money, and how do I fund this? And I just think that by doing this, I'm not going to have to face that.
Yeah. Or it could even be that they want to start a business, for instance, and then because one of the biggest issues in New Zealand is how do you get that
funding at the start? Yeah,
and then I think that stops a lot of people. Whereas you can go to uni and you can borrow interest free for 4 years and beyond and stuff. So it becomes okay. Well, that seems easier and smarter.
Yeah,
but there's probably a whole group of entrepreneurs that are now stuck in careers or jobs that they may be better used somewhere else in the economy, but they just haven't had that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. Nice. So there's a lot of snowball to roll for those kids because they're pretty young.
They're very young. So, but Sabrina's already saying, "How much money have I got, Mum?" So
really?
it's
yeah. Wow, that's cool.
So that's nice. And they're about $850. I think that's not too bad for a almost 3-year-old.
Yeah. And I'm sure you'll be getting them into KiwiSaver as they get a bit older. Will you be able to teach them about that too?
Yeah, I'll teach them about that. So definitely for their first jobs, I'll pop them in KiwiSaver, but there's no point in rushing in now. I think, since you can't withdraw it.
Yeah, and there's there's no financial incentive yet, but that may change. Do you have any non-negotiables with money as such, where you're like, right, like I do this every year and I'm happy spending it, or where you draw the line with hubby on anything like that you could share with us?
Oh, to be honest, I've always been terrible at spending money. I can't spend it. Like I'll go shopping and drive people crazy because I'll look around at things for 2 hours and then say, oh no, I can't buy that.
Yeah.
I can't part with the money. So I probably need to loosen up a little bit more and maybe enjoy it more. But
did you listen to the podcast, or have you got to the podcast with Linda Moore, the money mindset? And she's got the profiling tool of what sort of person you are with money, and some people are like hoarders and amassers.
I haven't listened to that one, so I probably should.
That was kind of interesting, and she was basically like telling me what I would be, and I'm like, oh, I've done the quiz. That's exactly exactly right. But that was quite fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah, you might enjoy that, and people listening might enjoy that too, to get a bit of sense of, okay, this is normal, like. And then the things to watch out for with that. What's the wildest thing you've ever purchased? Anything?
We went away for 3 months this year on holiday, which was probably pretty wild, I suppose. So we took our 4-week-old baby and toddler overseas.
Whereabouts?
We went to South Africa for a friend's wedding, so that was really nice.
3 months?
For 1 month here, and we went to Mauritius and Sri Lanka and Bali. So we spent a month at each of them, and it was great, but we should have had twice as much money. We planned for everything, and we Airbnb'd our house and did everything, but
it's expensive, right? Like everything always costs more.
It's expensive, and all the avenues for money that I thought were coming through, I was selling some cattle and doing all these things, and everything, all the money that I was planning on getting kind of came out lower. So in the end, we had to call up parents and borrow $9,000, but we paid it back. We paid it back after 7 or 8 weeks, so it was all right.
Well done. You would have come back and hustled, I'd imagine, relief milking and all sorts.
Well, owing money to the parents is the worst, I think. Like family, the bank, whatever. The bank doesn't care when you pay it back, right? But parents, you just feel guilty spending anything else if you owe someone money.
Yeah, then you have that feeling, right, of like, oh, they're going to see us out for dinner, or they're going to see us doing this,
exactly.
or I brought a buddy bubble bath, and Okay, so travelling with kids at that age, how'd that go?
It was good. Yeah. I mean, you're parenting abroad is what is really what it is. So you're still dealing with tantrums and not sleeping and all that kind of thing, but you're at least by a nice pool in a different country, and don't have to cook meals and things. So it was quite nice. Yeah.
What was your favourite out of those places?
Probably Bali, because they're well set up for tourists. So and it's cheap. It's really cheap. We travelled all around. So we went to Sanur, which is quite nice and beachy and good for families, they say. And then where else did we go? We went off to Limbongan, one of the little islands.
Okay.
Off there, and we went around. We went around.
Yeah, for a month. I like it.
For a month, yeah.
So had you guys planned to? Was that something you thought? Right, this is the opportunity to do this. You might never get it again. Yeah,
definitely. So I mean, it's not often you can go away and still keep your job. And I've got a really great job. I didn't want to lose it and lose the income, so I thought, well, why not do this while I'm on maternity leave, and then I can come back and jump back into work. And
so property management is you full time? ish, but that's your role.
Well, part-time now, which I'm quite lucky with, but I get a car and a phone and a good income, and it's full-time in the fact that you've got to be available 24/7.
Yeah.
But I only have to go to the office for a half day a week, and then I've got to pop around and do my open homes and my inspections and
So all the other stuff like running the farm and then helping your husband with the gardening and landscaping business, like that's all effectively on the side hustle, relief milking, etc. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And do you kind of turn the dial when you guys need more money, and if you learnt to do that, or it's like, someone needs a hand with relief milking, I'll do it, or?
Yeah. Well, like if I need more money, if we need more money, then we definitely do that. And we've been good at, we've been selling a lot of things, thanks to Luke, looking around the farm, what can we sell? How much is this worth? And
Trade Me or Facebook?
Facebook, because Trade Me's too expensive.
Yeah. Shout out to
worse
them.
and
They were
worse.
thinking about sponsoring, but anymore.
Were they? Sorry.
No, I'm having you on.
Yeah. So definitely a Facebook Marketplace, and you put it up, and an hour later someone comes and picks it up. So
Simple
great for tools and
Any tactics or tips? Like, are you saying anything specifically, or are you just posting it up?
No, just posting it up. My husband's really good at it, and he just drops it if people don't come back too quick, and So that's his job, selling the stuff on Marketplace, which is nice.
Yeah. Well, you might like this week's Money Mail, because by the time this goes out, Money Mail will be released, but it's a $200 challenge. So the challenge is to take something around the house or yourself and turn it into $200. So it could be acts of service for people or selling something, right? And then the challenge is $100 for you, but then $100 to a complete stranger, and you have to then pay. I'll give it on to someone. So whether it be paying someone's dentist bill that they don't even know and they get to the counter, or groceries, or just giving it to a random in the street. So that's
I'm all about that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and then I think because the last time I did that as a challenge was back in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think there was 500 readers.
That one. Yeah.
500 readers back then. Now there's I think there's a combined 19,000. So hopefully we can get that going on steroids, but it sounds like you'll be all over that. Have you been surprised how much stuff is on the farm that you could turn into cash?
Yeah. I think eventually that'd be great. Like maybe we can get people through to see the animals and that kind of thing, do little visits. I'm sure I could pop it up on Airbnb. They have a platform for that. So,
nice.
That kind of thing. And there's plenty of fruit and vegetables and eggs and things to do.
Would you say that as you've gone further down this path, it's been easier to spot these opportunities?
I think so. Yeah. And thinking about things in a different way is quite good. Yeah. You're very entrepreneurial. So thank you.
Nice. And what advice would you have for everyday people, do you think?
I suppose just get started. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super easy. If you've got a phone or a computer, then you can pretty much access any of these investment platforms now. And so from the top, you've tidied up your KiwiSaver. Yep.
You have started building an emergency fund. And you've set a goal of how big you want that to be. You've started investing for the kids.
Yep.
You've got multiple skills that can bring in cash when need be.
Yep.
You track the decrease in your debt. You've started paying off your mortgage faster.
Yep.
And then you've done the math to figure out how that becomes exciting. So how many years that saves you or interest you don't pay.
And how quickly we can pay the mortgage off and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely.
And then you're obviously having convos with hubby.
Yep.
You've been able to go away on a
on a nice holiday and
nice.
Yeah.
And then build this education to then teach the kids in the future as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's coming up for you guys? What's next?
We're just working on our business, maybe sell it. I think we've been talking about, so get some advice from Luke on how to package that up. And probably, I don't know, we're looking at starting a new business, I think, something that's less physically taxing for my husband.
Nice.
So we'll do that, and I'll keep working and paying off the mortgage.
And Christmas plans?
Christmas, I've told my parents already at your advice to not buy us Christmas presents this year. So I said, hey, none of us, all of us have better things to spend money on, so let's just enjoy dinner instead and do that. So the kids still get presents because they're little, but we're doing that, so that's cool. So we have a nice Christmas with our families. And,
Man, it's actually quite surreal to sit here with someone and just like hear how on
Hear all
board.
your great advice, you know, coming back to you.
Wow, people are actually doing this stuff. I need to be like really careful with what I'm saying. Hopefully it's all good stuff. No doubt there'll be things you don't always agree with, and that's fine. And you know, everybody, I think it's picking and choosing what it is that we want to be doing to.
Well, you are very negative on property, and I'm a property manager, so you know there are some things I don't agree with, but you are swaying me.
Don't worry, I get that all the time. Bro, why are you so negative about property? I'm like, it's not that I'm negative. Well, maybe I am.
You've got to pick it. So I say, like with our property, we did pick a home and income on purpose so that we don't have to pay. Like, you know, we don't have to pay the mortgage. Essentially, we've got income coming in from the farm that covers that, and hey, it works. So it can be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's how, you know, I was having breakfast with someone this morning, and they were talking about how, you know, so many of their clients, they were in banking for a long time, and the financial services market could access cash around this time of the year to do things like improve their home, add in swimming pools, and do things that they've always wanted to do.
Overcapitalising, you mean?
Maybe, hopefully not. But the bank are keeping an eye on the lending, of course. But, you know, that is actually, as we've spoken about on the pod, how money ends up flowing into the economy, and it just is what it is. But I like people to go into things, you know, eyes wide open, but I'm definitely not. Like, I always say this to Mikey, I joke about it off the pod, where I'm like, man, like, how many times do I have to tell people, like, do what works for you, you know? But I think we're probably in a time where people like to, you know, they'll hear something, and then because they disagree, they're like, you said this, and it's like, oh, I kind of said that.
Things change as well, though. 100%. Do you remember what you said for 3 years ago?
No,
probably not.
Some stupid share that I brought, or
Heartland.
Shout out to Heartland.
Thanks for that. I did lose about $50 on my first investment, which was Heartland through Sharesies.
Well, we got you started. Hang in there to all the Heartland investors, as I am. Hopefully they'll be able to be on the way back. But I was actually reading about them yesterday. They're still down in the doldrums and struggling a bit with people not paying their car loans back, you see. So that's going to be a long hold, especially for me. Cool. All right. So advice, and what about, before we go, like advice for people who are parents and who are juggling kids, and like that's not something that I can talk about because people are like, bro, you don't have kids, you don't get it. So what can you tell the parents out there that are listening?
Well, I suppose the advice I've been given is while your kids are really small, you can hustle quite a bit because they're not going to miss you, and I suppose try and focus on like, well, we're doing that now so that we can hopefully maybe homeschool in the future, or at least be there to take them to sports games and that kind of thing. I mean, rely on your family a bit if you can, I suppose, for a little bit of childcare is quite nice. And make sure you get your best start tax credits and all the money you can from the government there. And
get some tax back.
Get some tax back. And I don't know, anyone who's a parent, I'm sure you're already doing your best, and just keep at it. But, you know, they give us a reason to get out of bed every morning and to work on our future, and it's great.
I got a message, it was interesting this week, and I was too scared to put it on Instagram because I'm not a mother, right? So I was like, I'm going to incite, like the DMs are going to blow up. But it was a woman telling me how she was able on maternity leave to do finally a number of the things that she'd been wanting to do.
Yeah.
And she said to me, you won't believe the blowback that I've had from people being like, you know, what are you doing? The judgment, like you should be focusing on the kids.
Oh.
And I was like, let me
make
guess.
the most while they're babies. Oh, they sleep 17 hours a day. It's amazing.
I said, let me guess, like other women? And she was like, 100%. I'm like, man, that is it's sad, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like we want to be building each other up. And then
probably they feel guilty, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess.
Or regretting that they didn't make the most of their maternity leave, I suppose. Because I made the most of mine, so I'm not gonna cast any judgment.
But everyone's finding their feet and finding their own way, right? And trying to figure out.
Definitely.
You know, like we're all, and like you said, I think it's such a good point where everyone's trying their best for their kids and whatnot. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming into the studio. That has flown by. Can other people find these eggs if they need to, or do we? Can we direct some people towards?
I've only got 5 chickens, so
maybe
that's
not,
like 3 days of eggs.
Yeah.
So,
or what
maybe
about
not.
if anyone needs any landscaping done?
So Northwest Plant and Pest is our garden company.
Nice.
So we can help you out, and shout out to Rentex, my employers for property management.
Great.
So,
we love Rentex.
With my 12 years of experience, I'm happy to make make new friends and clients.
All right, so if anyone needs their property managed, in what area?
Yeah, North Shore.
North Shore?
Yeah, so North Shore and out towards Copper and Helensville and that kind of thing. So
they need to be Googling Angela from RentX?
Yeah, Angela from RentX, and Northwest Plant and Pest, same thing. So we're Northwest Auckland garden, preferably lifestyle blocks and that kind of thing. And there you go.
Love it. Anything that we didn't touch on that you would like to make a point of or leave with the people out there?
I suppose just talk to people about money, I think, is probably one of the reasons why I came on, just because we're so scared of talking about it in this country. I think it'd be quite good if you can to open discussions with people and
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do with a series of these podcasts.
Exactly.
So thank you.
And your 100,000 listeners, or reaching 100,000 people, I'm happy to come and help you with your goal. And,
good on you. Thank you. Well, I think, this has been good for me to test how this can work and then maybe even, run some of the same questions for people in the future. But if you are listening or watching and you think that you would like to come and tell a story, I don't want people coming on here being like, I'm a hero, I've done all this. I want people that are like, these are small steps that I've taken, they've added to a lot and I've learnt via Keep the Change rather than just, your own journey and you're looking for some promotion and stuff. Whereas, you reached out and you're like, here's some of the things that I've learnt. It was amazing. And the first to email as well. So,
really? I think it was a good couple of days after you posted on Facebook.
I thought I was going to get inundated with like messages and emails, and I probably might have had 8. Yeah. Probably had about 8 in total.
Yeah.
So
don't be scared. Luke's not scary.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Angela. This has been great, and I'm sure people will enjoy it out there.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Awesome.